Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now let's start with the first story. It's called "You'll Pay for It." I work for a very large company, make very good money and work long hours often, which up until this point I've been totally fine doing. Night meetings until 10 PM? Fine. Drive 2 hours to a major plant multiple times a week? Alrighty. But this past week we had a global supplier team fly in from Japan. FaceTime at the plant is incredibly important. This means I need to be at the plant every single day for the next 2.5 weeks. I have 2 bosses, a direct boss man and the big boss lady. We'll call them Joe and Jill. When discussing this trip from our global counterparts, 25k each person, Joe and I talked to Jill about spending a couple of nights in a local hotel so we could cut back on driving. She said, "That's not necessary, you guys can just drive. I'll approve one night at a hotel so you can do relationship building with the Japan team. It may seem like crazy hours and long driving, but I could maybe get on board with this if it wasn't for Tuesday mornings. Tuesday mornings we have a couple of critical global calls at the plant, and with the Japan team in town we should really be there in person for collaboration. Myself, Joe and Jill all agree on this. I pushed back on Jill and mentioned the Tuesday morning early calls. No dice. The meetings are at 6 AM. On top of this we have Monday night meetings till 9:30 PM. So I'd have to try to quickly fall asleep after the night meeting, then wake up at 3:30 and leave before 4 to be there on time. Driving 2 hours in the dead of night, in January, in Wisconsin, after maybe 5 hours of sleep if I'm lucky. There are free Tuesday mornings with the Japan team in town. So what did I do? I booked hotels Monday night anyway, nice ones. Then proceeded to tell everyone that I'd be local on Monday nights for relationship building. That's cool, the company is helping you cut back on driving. Nah, they wouldn't pay, but that's fine. I'm just paying out of pocket. I was honest, professional, but not shy that the company was not paying for this. I knew this would not look good. The first Monday night, my poor Joe was getting ready for the trek home and said, "Hey, don't stay too late, it's a long drive." And I comfortably said, "Actually, I got a local hotel, so I'm 10 minutes down the road, but drive safe." The longest pause. But Jill said we can't stay local while the Japan team is in town. Nah, she said she wouldn't pay for it, which is fine. I'm just going to pay for it out of my own pocket. The pause got longer. Are you visiting a local friend or something? Nope, just for work. I just found it to be a safety concern to drive at night after just a few hours of sleep, so I paid for it out of pocket. Oh, and I told the Japan team we can get dinner a few nights on Monday, since I'll be local. What is happening? But Jill said no. Well, I can talk to Jill and see if we can cover it under company expenses since it is work related. Have you booked yet? Whatever you think is right. And yep, it's booked and non-refundable. The next day I got an email from Jill informing me that if I felt so strongly that it was a safety concern to stay local on Mondays, to expense the free hotel days through the system retroactively. The same way I would if I forgot to pay with my company card. I 100% knew they wouldn't make me pay what should be a company expense or punish me for making a good safety choice. Joe gets to stay local for the next 2 Mondays too. The sugar on top. Every time I drive to and from the plant, they pay me about $120 in miles. They could have literally booked me a cheap hotel for the same price. Instead, they'll be paying for my $220 a night in hotels of my choice, which I specifically picked in a fun area and upgraded to get a ton of reward points. Don't cheap out on your invaluable employees. The next story is called "Free Advice." I work for my country's customs administration. A colleague and I are responsible for all import-related inquiries within a certain geographic area. I'm handling private imports, while he is in charge of commercial imports. If you import something into my nation as a business, you have to input a ton of information into a centralized system. It then calculates how much you owe the government in import fees and VAT. Companies that are engaged in importing goods usually do the aforementioned administrative tasks either in-house or hire a forwarding agent. The process is fairly complicated, so there are various ways my colleague tries to help businesses that haven't gotten the hang of it yet. especially when they are newly formed and quite small. My colleague gets a call from what I can only describe as the most obnoxious woman I have ever had the misfortune of hearing. Calls are always put on speaker, so there is another person who can confirm what is being said. The woman explains, without even a greeting, that she has opened some sort of thrift store for small trinkets relating to crystal healing. She then explains that she has ordered a rather large amount of merchandise from abroad and now wants us to make the necessary system entries into our system. My colleague is nice. Very nice. After confirming in our database that this is the first time the woman makes a business import, he kindly does it for her on his computer while explaining the whole procedure to her. The whole process takes about 90 minutes. After everything is done, he tells her that next time she will have to do it herself or hire a forwarding agent. The woman just says that she will be expecting the bill for the import duties in the mail and hangs up. 1 month goes by. Another call from the obnoxious woman. This time she bluntly states that the next import is due and that she has another order for my colleague. My colleague, still with a voice like honey, explains to the woman that this time he won't be able to oblige. He explains that last time was to show her how it works and that he would be happy to give her an industry site listing the various forwarding agents who can help her. Unfortunately, it doesn't go any further, as the woman immediately cuts my colleague off. She informs him that she knows the law and is thus aware that he is required to help her fill in the forms, whether he wants to or not. My colleague obliges. After another 90 minutes, he wishes her a nice day and tells her that the bill will be coming in the mail again. After that, my colleague takes a deep breath and opens a form on his computer I haven't seen before. Seeing my confusion, he proceeds to tell me what the form is for. Apparently, the Customs Administration is indeed required to make the system entries for businesses if asked. However, in order to not interfere with the free market, the Customs Administration can charge businesses for the time our employees spend on such requests. My colleague then shows me the fee table and my jaw drops to the floor while my eyebrows visit the back of my head. The fee is charged for every 15 minutes of work and makes the hourly fee of the greediest forwarding agent look like a bargain. My colleague prints out a single bill, containing the import fees as well as the charge for his time spent on the woman's request, the charge being higher than the import fees, and drops it into the mail. What happened next was handled by a different office, so I will have to summarize. She complains that charging her for my colleague's work is illegal, and is shut down because it is perfectly legal. She then complains that she didn't know about the law, and is shut down because me and my colleague confirmed that she said she knew the law. The woman then pays up. The last story is called Every Request. A few years ago, I was an IT analyst for an aerospace company in Toronto. There were 3 sites and 1 analyst for each site. I was barely able to keep up with the workload for my side, but managed. One day, I found out that 1 analyst had given a month's notice and had already quit. The company did not replace him. I had to drive daily between cities to manage both sites. Shortly after, my boss was let go, and I was given a new boss who lived in another country. The work piled up, and several employees at a time would have non-working computers because there was nobody to help them. I had to stop supporting projects that I was involved in with other managers, like getting 20 computers for the factory floor. This was definitely going to blow up, and I needed to cover myself. I had a talk with the GM and explained that I'd get walk-ups, phone calls, texts and emails because most of the employees refused to use the ticket system. I'd even have employees coming up when I was on a call and try talking in my ear. The GM decided that all requests must come in the form of a ticket. I adopted a no ticket, no work policy and enforced it on all employees and managers. I also stopped answering texts and calls. I'd answer all email requests with, "Please open my ticket." Most managers refused, so I would just thank them for their time while they fumed off to file a complaint against me. A week went by with no copier on the main floor because everyone refused to open my ticket to request more ink. Everyone had to walk downstairs to make their copies. A week went by with several lathes in the factory not working because everyone refused to open my ticket. Several computer illiterate or lazy employees would now have to ask their coworkers for help because they refused to open my ticket and now they are behind on their work. Sometimes a new employee would spend 2 or 3 days in the office with no laptop and no user account because the request never came in the form of a ticket. Employees would go on business trips without laptops because they refused to open a ticket. This went on for several months and I was able to partially manage both sides, but it was exhausting arguing with everyone every day. I'd get threatened by management all the time, but nothing would ever come of it. I found out one day that the company wasn't planning on replacing the employee who quit, so I had enough. I spent a few weeks declining requests as usual, but when they came from my manager, I'd add, "And if you don't like it, then fire me. Request denied." Eventually, I decided my mental health was more valuable than the company. When the last analyst went on vacation, I simply left my phone and laptop on my desk and stopped coming in for my shift. Zero notice given. A week later, I get a call from HR. They found my wife's number as an emergency contact and said I let them down and there was nobody to help. I replied with, "Good, now you know how it feels," and left it at that. 6 months later, the only analyst left tells me the company replaced my position with 2, but they are still in rough shape. All they had to do was replace an employee. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.